Good morning and welcome to our community meditation. And good morning to all of you who are joining us online today. Thank you all for being with us as we connect in consciousness. My name is Karen Dunphy, and I am your practitioner for the day. So please take a moment and silence your cell phones so that we may have an uninterrupted time together today. So this meditation is a blend of spoken word and silence, accompanied by some beautiful music, and it will last approximately 15 minutes. Our theme is abundance. So as we turn our attention inward to that innermost place, our sacred place within, deep in our heart, where all is well. There is nothing missing. There is no lack. Everything is present. Here is where the infinite resides. All that ever was and all there ever will be is here, inside of me, and inside of you, and inside of all creation. It's where God hangs out in each and every one of us. And with that being the truth, I know that we were all born abundant. With all of God's gifts and all of God's qualities. I breathe in the abundance of the universe in each breath. The infinitude of the cosmos is in each breath I take. There is only one breath, one body, one mind, one heart, in all that there is. And I call that God, infinite, creator of all. In God, in spirit, is the source of all abundance. It is the fountain of abundance that pours everything into each and every one of us. before we were conceived. The infiniteness of the universe was in action, making creation possible. So lack is just an idea gone wrong, a fiction of the imagination. Abundance is loving yourself, loving sunrises and sunsets, waves on the ocean breaking on the beach. Abundance is puppies, kittens, laughter, fresh air, good food, friendships, it is connection, mobility, celebrating life, music, reading a good book by the fireplace. Life is abundance in action. It's not just in some of us. It's in each and every one of us. Everywhere. All at once. It reveals itself in laughter, empathy, compassion, sorrow, grieving, joy, and love. Life is abundance in action. Thankfulness, loving kindness, generosity, playfulness, all of God's qualities multiply abundance. There is but one fountain from which all abundance flows. It is the eternal, unconditional generosity and love of God. The infinite loving kindness of Spirit refills and restores our supply of abundance every single day, every single minute. We are being refreshed and resupplied, restocked with a full tank of infinite abundance of every sort. Our body, mind, and heart are the outpicturing of loving abundance. And I say, thank you, God. And I know that life can be tricky. Sometimes our attention lands on what's not desired. It can get stuck. I ask myself, am I looking for what's missing? Am I looking for what's wrong? Or am I thankful for what's present? Thankful for what's right? If I look for what's missing, I will surely find it and judge it. Looking for what's present is the present. There is good in everything. And today, I affirm that I look through the lens of what's right and what is good in every situation. It brings me joy. It makes me optimistic. And it's infectious. It makes the world a happier and healthier place. To live and to love all things, animate and inanimate. All of creation is a living, breathing expression of the infinite loving kindness of the one mind, one heart, one body behind all of creation. So I know that we all have the power of choice. And I invite everyone to notice what is present, what's right. For surely you will see the good in everything. So I release any belief in lack or limitation. I embrace and I affirm I am everything I need. I am complete and whole and as I should be in this moment. Nothing is wrong, nothing is lacking. With joy, I speak my word today. With a heart filled with love and gratitude. And I simply let it be as it is. Amen. So this concludes this morning's meditation. Thanks for being with us in spiritual practice. Our celebration service will begin at 10 a.m. and we'll take a break until then.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real with Reverend Laura. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real with Reverend Laura.
This is Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. At CSL Greater Las Vegas, it is our mission to inspire spiritual discovery through community connection, exploration, and celebration. This mission supports the all-inclusive vision of Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, in which we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Las Vegas. Hallett, and what a joy it is to have you here with us on this holiday weekend, and especially those of you that were brave enough to venture out in this excessive heat wave we are having here in Southern Nevada. I appreciate all of you being here, and I appreciate those of you that are joining us online. Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm sure that today we're going to have a mightier group online than what's in here in person because of the heat. But I thank you all for spending your Sunday morning with us. So just to give you a brief update, we had the floor of the new building was poured this week. So yay, we are moving forward. We're moving forward with things. Things are being ordered, and they're starting to, this week they're supposed to be starting to block out the walls and things like that to get that going. So we're very excited about all of that, and knowing that it is unfolding beautifully and perfectly in all of its unfoldment that's happening. So we're going to start us off with our opening song, Bright Idea.
Bright idea today.
All right.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Here we go. Yeah, if you feel comfortable, please stand.
I woke up to a light bulb. Every little thing is possible. I woke up to a feeling. Every little thing has meaning. Now I'm gonna use my two hands. I'm gonna move a mountain. I woke up to a light bulb on. Every little thing is possible now. Love is a bright idea. Love is a brilliant plan. I built my life around a bright idea. I built my life around the love that I found. I woke up to a new day. Every little thing will go my way. I woke up to a perfect
people. Greet your neighbor, please.
How beautiful. I love to see everybody greeting each other. That just brings joy to my heart. Finally be back to giving hugs and such. All right, we're going to go into that time that's more contemplative with our invocation and our affirmation. I'd like to thank our practitioners that are in service today. Online we have Lynn Frankenberger, and up here in the audience we have Clay T. White and Shirley Shutt, and then our practitioner of the day is Karen Dunphy. So I'm going to invite Karen up here to lead us through our affirmation and invocation.
Thanks, Reverend Laura. So please join me in saying this week's affirmation. I'll read it out loud once, and then we'll repeat it together. And if need be, we'll do it again. So I live in constant awareness of being supported by the infinitely abundant universe. Ready? I live in constant awareness of being supported by the infinitely abundant universe. Ah, good job. Good job, good. And so now let's turn within. To that innermost place. That sacred place.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
So remaining within, in that deep center of the infinite love inside that we call home, I invite us to experience the consciousness of the presence of Spirit in each and every one of us. And it's my pleasure, it's a treat for me to do the invocation this morning and just to be the person that sets the tone for what's about to occur. We have a great message coming up today by Reverend Laura. We're focusing on abundance, which is the fruit of gratitude, the more grateful I am, the more that comes my way. I soak it in, I breathe it in, I spread it around, and I share it with all beings everywhere. And I know that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. So just knowing the truth that there's just one mind, one heart, and one body here today, and that each and every one of us is a divine ray of that infinite love and gratitude that exists in us, through us, and as us. And I simply speak my word in anticipation of a marvelous message by Reverend Laura. And I simply say, and so it is.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel its mighty power and its grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
Beautiful. Thank you. What a beautiful way to set the tone for our time together this morning. And so we are opening up to a new theme for the month. This is part of our Building a Community theme we have for 2020. And so for the month of July, we're going to be focusing on abundance. Now, when I think about abundance, what normally comes to mind right away is I'm going to be talking about money. Because money is one of the chief worries of everybody else in the world, of everybody in the world. If you look at all the polls that are out there about what people worry about, money is almost always the number one thing on there. Sometimes it's down a couple, but the things that are maybe up there like health is also part of the worry about health challenges is, am I going to have enough money to pay for it? Part of the worry about our homes and so forth is, am I going to have enough resources to take care of everything that I need to take care of? And so historically, money has been a big issue for the people of the world. And there are lots and lots of ideas about money that have, ones that we've taken on that we don't even know we've taken on, ideas that are part of our heritage, part of maybe the geographic location that we live in, part of the way that we were raised. Money has all of these things. We call all those ideas race consciousness. And so we live in this pool of all of these ideas that are permeating about money. But abundance is so much more than money. And so we're going to talk about that this month, about some of the different things. Money's going to be part of it, but some of the different ideas about abundance. For instance, what Karen just said in her invocation, that abundance is the product of gratitude. And so it kind of goes along with that whole law of circulation. If I am grateful for something, then more things have room to come into my life. It's what I was talking about last week, about the yin and yang of community. There's a giving aspect of it to it, and there's also the receiving aspect of it. And we have to have both moving constantly, this flow from one to the other, to bring it into our lives, into different ways. So this idea that abundance is so much more, we're going to be talking about that in lots of different ways. Abundance is actually it's not actually one of the qualities of God, but it's a product of the quality of God. The quality of God would be a limitlessness, this idea that there is no end to it. The infinite nature of the divine brings about this condition of abundance that we experience in our world. And it shows up in all different kinds of ways. It's abundance of love, of joy, of health, of creativity. It is this field of infinite possibility that we exist in. Spirit is always active and always giving and always moving. And it does so without any conditions or judgment or determining who gets and who doesn't get. Spirit isn't anything about that, anything about limiting us in any way. It is constantly flowing itself into expression. You know, in quantum physics, they say that that everything exists in waves of possibility. And so we sit in a field of these waves of energy, these possibilities that exist out there. And as we put our attention on them, on ideas that are in the waves of possibility, that idea then collapses or forms itself, it solidifies and becomes part of our experience. And so we live in this field of infinite possibilities always. This is the abundance of spirit that we're talking about. This is that nature of the divine that is always giving itself forth, always expressing itself, always looking for a place to express itself. Now, you may say that sometimes the experience that I have, that thing that I put my attention on, that formed in my experience was not something I really wanted. It wasn't something that was really actually something that I thought I was bringing into my experience at all. But if we start to look at what we believe and those ideas that we have that we're not even aware we have, that race consciousness that I spoke about just a few moments ago, those things that exist in our family dynamics, that exist in our culture, that exist in the society we live in, things that we have internalized, beliefs that we have that there is a limit to good, that some people have and some people don't have, and that the people that have did something to get that stuff, and the people that don't have did something that caused them not to have it. So that we put all these values on it, all this judgment about it, when in actuality, spirit doesn't judge anything. It just is constantly expressing itself. So where do all of these things come from, and how come they become part of our experience, that we actually feel lack and limitation in the reality of our lives? What happens here? Well, I like to find books that talk about the topics, and so a couple of months ago, as I was looking through books for abundance, I came across Deepak Chopra's newest book, which is called Abundance, the Inner Path to Wealth. Abundance, the Inner Path to Wealth. Now, Deepak Chopra comes from an Indian, Eastern philosophy, Eastern point of view, and so he's talking about these ideas in terms of yoga, which yoga with a capital Y, as being consciousness, as not just the practice of, where we get into funny positions on the floor and try to get ourselves out of them, those kind of things. It's not just that. It's about a whole practice, a whole system of belief that leads us to a greater connection with consciousness. The word yoga itself comes from Sanskrit, and it means to unite. And it's all about bringing our inner life and our outer life together. Our inner belief system, making it show up as our outer experience. It's all about uniting that together. Here in Science of Mind, we would call that conscious union with the divine. Where we engage in conscious union with the divine, we have a different experience of life than we did when we were unaware of our conscious union with the divine. And so as I'm reading his book, I'm kind of translating everything from words in yoga to more of our terms in Science of Mind. But it's the same concept. It is the same thing flowing through there. So in the book, he talks about these blocks that we have, these things that are making us not experience all of the abundance that we want to experience in our life. And he calls it karma. Now, in my early belief system about karma, it was one of those things like, it was really associated with reincarnation. And it was like, I did something wrong in my past life, and now I'm going to suffer for it in the present one. That, to me, was what karma was. But karma in the Eastern point of view is so much broader than that. So he says that karma is the leftover results of past actions and thinking. The leftover results of past actions and thinking. Cause and effect. I believed something, I experienced this effect. I did something, I experienced the effect of that. It's cause and effect. And so when I started looking at it that way, I thought, oh, that makes more sense. And he says that we have what he calls karmic blocks. And those are the ideas that we don't even know are operating out there. For instance, how many of you might have grown up with a belief system that those who have money will always have it and those who don't will never get it? Anybody have that one? That was one of my father's favorite things to talk about. He grew up in a very impoverished place in southern Indiana where he had to work on the farms of these wealthy people that own these big farms and so forth. And so in his belief system was that he had to leave there because there was no way for him ever to get, because the people that had it weren't going to let go of it, and there was no way for him to get it. And so it was something that he was raised believing, and it was something that he somewhat passed on to his own family. I think all of us kind of broke out of that at some point because he actually demonstrated that that wasn't the truth. And so once he had demonstrated it to us in our family, then it was like kind of got rid of that belief. There's all kinds of interesting sayings out there about money, like money is the root of all evil. Now, you may not believe that that's the truth, but it's permeating our society. It's out there. It's being heard. And sometimes we see evidence of that. We see people who have lots of money that are behaving in ways that we do not deem morally appropriate for them to behave in. And we see things where people that have a lot of money may have done something wrong and then getting away with it. And so this idea of why we may not have internalized it ourselves, but that money is the root of all evil, we are certainly seeing evidence of it here and there. That people with money are having problems with things that are happening in their lives. Now, there's also this belief that I have to break away from everything I've thought of to get more money. I have to do something grand to get it, to bring it into my experience. Or that if I don't have a lot of money, I'm not successful. And things like that. So these are just all these hidden beliefs, we call them, or race consciousness thoughts that kind of permeate our society. We may not totally buy into it, but it's still active there. It's still kind of like the undercurrent of the world that we live in. I remember in practitioner training, one of the things that we had to do was we were given a situation, and we had to explain it in spiritual terms, like, why is this thing happening? And one of the things that we were often told was, why is there so much poverty in other countries? Why are there entire countries filled with poverty? And we had to come up with a metaphysical reason for that. And I remember how difficult that was, because even when I was saying things like, well, they just don't have the conscious awareness yet to know that they don't have to have that experience, it felt like a platitude. It felt like, I'm not quite getting it. It's that what we call spiritual bypass. It's that let's just try to explain it away in some way that makes me feel better about myself. So those were the things that I'm talking about with this karmic block, these race consciousness ideas that we don't even know are operating in our lives. So what Deepak says, though, is that once we begin to understand that we can break away from that, then we can actually do something about it. And we do that by finding the things that we can change. Some of our karmic blocks are hidden in our habits. Some of our karmic blocks are hidden in our automatic responses to things, or our reflex reactions to things. Some of them are our unconscious behavior. Some of them are our character traits. Some of them are the things that we might call predisposition. And he uses an example in there, which I had a bit of a reaction to, was about overeating and obesity. And so I was reading this and listening to it, I'm thinking, okay, well, what are my unconscious beliefs around that? And so I started going with that, and I'm thinking, well, I don't really know. I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about what my unconscious beliefs were. And then it hit me, it's like, well, you think you should be able to eat whatever you want to eat. I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of an unconscious belief that I have. That petulant 2-year-old that wants what they want. Some of the things that were around that were my habits. I'm pretty sedentary. I don't get out and move a lot. That attributes to it. Some of it was my predisposition. I come from a family of obese people. And so I can look at that as, I'm genetically predisposed to being obese. And yet I know that that's not something that's predetermined. That's not something that it has to be that way. Because I do have people in my family that are thin. And so I look at that and I think of all of these ideas, these karmic blocks that are there that have been existing in my life. And he says this about the karmic blocks. He goes, karma only becomes practical in your daily life when you reduce it down to factors that you can change. Because otherwise it's there to make you feel guilty. And guilt isn't going to get us anywhere. Feeling guilty about something is not going to do us any good at all. But if I can reduce it down to something, to a habit or a belief or some other factor that I can change, that I can do something about. I can't do anything about my genetics, but I can do something about my belief in them. Okay? So if I begin to look at karmic blocks that way, where what is it about that thing that I can change, that I can bring a greater experience of health in a way that would feel better for my body, then that's where I can do my work. That's where I can put my work into it. Now, all of this is about developing our spiritual awareness. And it all comes back to that every time. When we look at what are the beliefs that are happening in my life, what are those hidden beliefs, what are those karmic blocks, what are those race consciousness ideas that are operating in my life right now, the first thing I have to do to build my consciousness around that is to become aware of them. And I need to do that through my spiritual practices, through contemplation, through meditation, through figuring out what it is that's happening. And as we do that work, we can have certain spiritual awarenesses happen. I like to call these things God moments. And so God moments happen when I'm engaged in a spiritual practice. My first God moment that I had happened when my brother was dying. And I was very distraught. And so I was in my office at work, and I couldn't function that day. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to sit in my office because it's either that or go home. And at this point, that didn't feel like the right thing to do. So I just went to my office and closed the door and turned out the lights, and I sat there quietly. And very quickly, I had a God moment. I had a God experience of God. I heard very distinctly, very clearly, there is no death, there is no pain, there's only peace. And when I had that God moment, it completely eliminated my fear of death, because it was so profound and so clear and so much about giving me an idea of what's the reality of this. Where I was worried about the death of my brother, the impending death of my brother, and so focused on that, I couldn't get past it until I went into my spiritual practices. Another time that I had a God moment was in a meditation at the old center. I remember I was sitting in our social hall in a meditation with a group. And, have you ever had a 2x4 moment? Where it really honestly feels like you've been slapped upside the head by something hard, right? I mean, there's a body feeling to it. So I'm in this meditation. I have no clue what the meditation was about at this moment. I have no idea whatsoever. But I heard very clearly, you've spent your life eating your anger. Okay? So now, that's something I can work on, right? I've had the spiritual awareness. I've had that experience of God, that moment of deep connection, where the consciousness was so profound and so clear to me, and it gave me something I could do. And so I've spent many years now working on expressing my anger. At first, it was not pretty. To go from never expressing your anger to expressing anger was not a pretty sight. But and thank God for the people that were there to receive it, so that I could practice it in a more profound way that allowed me to release some of that. So, but that's my work. That's my work that I do. It's the work that I do every day, is to not let that build up inside of me, to not internalize it and keep it in, to not find some outside thing to try to soothe it and salvage it and make it feel like I could actually be normal inside. And so when we develop our conscious awareness, when we have those moments of spiritual connection, then things unfold beautifully for us, and they become a place where that infinite possibility can happen that wasn't there before. It wasn't that it wasn't there, it was that we were blocked to it. We couldn't receive it because of whatever was going on in our consciousness. We needed to do something to clear it out. And so for me, it was the spiritual practices that I do. And I know I talk about spiritual practices a lot, but they have been so profound in my life. So many times where I couldn't do anything else but to go within. And when I went within, I got clarity. I got an answer. And sometimes I had to go within 5, 6, 7 times around the same topic. But eventually something would come through, because it all depended on what my block was, where I was in that moment, how receptive I was to it. When my brother was dying, I was open and raw. And I was receptive to hearing the voice of Spirit. I don't know what I was during that meditation. I just remember the 2x4. But all of this is about giving us a choice to live consciously or unconsciously. And that's the primary focus of spiritual practice, of spiritual work that we do here together, of spiritual community. Every single moment gives us a chance to choose to be either consciously aware of what's going on and my responses to it, or to just go through life unconsciously. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with either one of them. And there are moments in my life where I just have to go unconsciously through it. That's where I'm at in that moment, and I just go. It reminds me of those times when have you ever had this experience where you're driving, and you've been driving for like 20 minutes, and you're somewhere where you have no clue how you got there? You don't remember anything at all in that last 20 minutes? You know, that's how life feels to me when I'm going through it unconsciously. It's like, I'm okay. I was okay at the beginning. I'm okay now. I got from one place to the next. I have no awareness of what happened in between. And it's okay to be that way sometimes. You know, we are on a spiritual journey. Our souls are constantly evolving. As Ernest Holmes says, we are on a ever upward spiral of evolution. And so as we're moving up, so here's my problem right here. Let's say my problem is my weight. And so as I'm moving up, I'm down here on this bottom level, I'm looking up at it. It seems so bad, I can't even do anything about it. But as I continue to develop spiritually and become more conscious of the nature of spirit, I see it at different levels. So now I see it at this level. And it doesn't look as overwhelming. And then eventually I keep moving up on this spiral, and I can look down on it, and I can see the totality of it. And I can see a solution where there wasn't one before. And so as we continue to evolve and we continue to move on this upward spiral of evolution, then our souls change. Our lives unfold differently. We release some of that karmic blocks that have been out there. We no longer buy into the race consciousness. Joel Goldsmith, who I love to study, talks about all of this as a pool, that we are all swimming in a pool. So just imagine yourself. You're in a big swimming pool, and there's lots of stuff in there, and you're looking at it eye level. You know, your nose is under the water, you're looking at it eye level. And all you can see is this stuff floating around you. And you don't know what's underneath there even. And there's stuff coming up to you, and it's hitting you, and you're in it, and you can't see what it is. But eventually you walk to the shallow end. And oh, you can see, oh, wait a second, I could move over here and avoid that thing. Or I could move this way and bypass that one. And eventually we get to a place where we're sitting on the side of the pool with only our feet dangling in it. Where sometimes the stuff comes to us, sometimes it doesn't. But for the most part, we're feeling good about everything because we can see it all. We have a different point of view of it. And eventually we learn to get out of the pool. It's what they mean by saying that we are in the world, but not of the world. We're in the world, we exist in the world, but it doesn't have so much of an effect on us. We're not in this constant pull and push of turmoil. And so as all of this applies to that idea of abundance, just think about all of the different ways that we can experience abundance in our lives. We have, infinite joy, infinite creativity. All of these are available to us. There are limitless possibilities out there for what we can do every single moment of the day. There are infinite number of possibilities for how things will unfold for us throughout the day. This idea of self-awareness is what allows us to become unstuck, to move through these challenges in our lives in a way that allow us to see the possibilities that exist, because they are there. There are thousands of solutions to every problem. And our opportunity at every moment is to become aware of what those solutions are and look and see what it is that's blocking it from me. Where is it I need to do my work? Where do I need to focus my energy and my attention to move through that? And so, as I said, I like to do the spiritual practices, and each week I try to find a different one for us to do. So this one actually comes from Deepak's book on how to make more positive choices that will allow us to open up to an experience, to help us look to see where the blocks are and so forth. And so it's just a series of questions here. So I'm going to have you go into the silence here and just, I'm going to ask the questions. And so what I'd like you to do is maybe think about some kind of a challenge right now. It could be a challenge that has to do with abundance. It could be a challenge about anything. So just bring to mind some kind of a challenge that you might be having in your life right now. And it doesn't have to be anything bad, just something that's on your mind. And then I'm going to ask you some questions, and I just want you to reflect on that silently. So the first question is, how can I get more clear about this challenge? What can I do to get clearer around what's happening? Is there something about this challenge that I have to be more honest about? What is the one really good thing about this challenge that I need to be more persistent with? Do I believe there is a solution to this problem? Do I trust myself enough to know that I can come up with a solution to this problem? Can I be open to new choices in this situation? How can I take more personal responsibility in this situation? All right, just taking a nice deep breath. Just let yourself go from that. And know that you can pick it back up at any time. Deepak says this. He says, every problem has a solution at the level of your awareness. Every problem has a solution at the level of your awareness. And so our task is always to become more aware. Aware of our hidden beliefs, aware of our limiting thinking, aware of what might be operating here that I am not even conscious of. And when we become more aware, when we take that time to go within, tap into that consciousness that is always moving through us, then possibilities open for us that didn't seem to be there before. And solutions are available as we increase the level of our awareness about the problem. And so it's always an opportunity for us. Take that time and go within. These questions are, I think, I'll have to look it up. I think it's Harper is the publisher, but I pulled off the list from publisher's website. So if you look up Deepak's book on there, he's got some resources available for you on the publisher's site. I think it was harper.com. These questions are there. If not, just go within and say, what do I need to know here? That's always one of my favorite questions. I ask that almost every day. What do I need to know today, Spirit? What do I need to know? Where do I need to move? What do I need to do? Open up to that question, those broad questions like that, and allow Spirit to move through you. Our spiritual practices are so powerful at helping us move through this stuff. But the other thing that's really powerful are the classes that we offer, because they're a little more focused on specific issues. So if you want to move through some different life challenges in your experience, then look for some of our classes. We're going to be starting our classes in person when we get into the new building. But there are things that are online too, books that we read, our book studies, things like that will give you maybe a little bit of a perspective that you didn't have before that might open some awareness for you to allow you to have a different experience. The closer you get to the source of your awareness, the more power your consciousness has. And so the closer we get to knowing ourselves, know thyself, the more powerful our experience of the divine is through our lives. Because honestly, it's always waiting for that outlet, that place where it can move through into experience. And so open ourselves up to it and allow Spirit to move through you in a greater and greater way. One of the other ways we do that is with prayer. And so let's go within right now into our form of spiritual mind treatment, which is affirmative prayer. I'm going to invite the practitioners to stand, join us in the prayer. And so I begin by becoming still. And in that stillness, I sense and feel that one all-pervading presence, that creative love intelligence that is moving itself into expression continuously through each and every one of us. It is that divine clarity and wisdom, that infinite intelligence, that place of perfect peace and unconditional love. It is the isness and the allness and the fullness of all life. And it is the very truth of who and what each one of us is. I know that I am aligned with that infinite intelligence. I know that it is moving itself into expression in my life continuously. And as I know this is true for me, I know this is true for everyone, that we are all that unique and perfect emanation of the one, the conduit through which love intelligence shows up in this world. And so knowing this, I speak my word of truth. I know that each one of us is that vessel for the impressive Spirit, that it is continuously generating this infinite field of possibilities, that it is always looking for a place to allow itself to work, to express, to be. And I know that our task is to open out a way for which the imprisoned splendor may emerge. Open out a way through which Spirit can show up in each of our lives. Open out a way of possibility where none seemed to be present before. I know that this is our work. And I know that each one of us is perfectly equipped and capable of doing this work. And how good it is to know this, how good it is to know that this is happening in this community right here and right now. I am so grateful for this and so much more. And so I simply release this word into the law, to that in creative intelligence that always says yes, that never experiences lack or limitation, and that is constantly expressing itself abundantly. I let it go and I let it be. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. So now we're going to go into the time of sharing our tithes and offerings. This is another one of our spiritual practices, is conscious giving, where we enter into that flow of giving and receiving that law of circulation. And so there's so many ways that we can do this. We have online giving, we have text to give, we have Zelle, and of course we gratefully receive your cash or check donations here today. So if you give electronically, just put your hand over your heart. If you're giving something cash or check today, just go ahead and place that over your heart too, and repeat after me. This gift I give.
This gift I give
Goes forth from me.
goes forth from me,
Does amazing and miraculous things.
does amazing and miraculous things,
And returns to me in kind.
returns to me,
Pressed down and overflowing.
pressed down and overflowing.
And so it is.
So it is.
Justin's got some music for us.
Okay, this is a Karen Drucker song called The Call of Something More. There's been a storm brewing inside of me, clouds moving around my heart. Something's changing that I can't see. I'm stuck in what I know is safe, but not where I'm supposed to be. And I feel the call of something more. I feel the call of something I never felt before. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call and it's asking, what am I here for? 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 They say that pain pushes till the vision pulls. Feels like my safety nets have fallen down now. I wish I had a map of where to go, but I got this feeling in my soul. When I get there I will know. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call of something I never felt before. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call and it's asking, what am I here for? 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 I wanna make a move right now, though I don't know when or how. When I trust and know the truth, my heart will point the way. There is more of me to share, so today I do declare I will take a step in faith and let my light shine. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call of something I never felt before. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call of something I never felt before. I feel the call of something more. I feel the call and it's asking, what am I here for? 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 What am I here for?
Beautiful. Thank you, Justin. Love that song. Are these not beautiful flowers? I think our resident florist, Kaylee, has outdone herself this week. And I want to thank Francine Jasper for sponsoring them today. She says this is in celebration of gratitude for all that is and the beautiful blessings on her upcoming travel. If you want to know about her trip, ask her, because she's excited about that, that's for sure. I'm kind of jealous of it. So I want to let you know our practitioners are available for prayer after service. Karen will be here at the door, and the practitioners, we may keep them inside. It's pretty warm out there right now. So, I think they can probably just find a spot in here if you're interested in having a one-on-one prayer. This coming, the last Sunday of the month will be our Taizé service this in July, so we're looking forward to that. Justin and I have been working on it. And the Leadership Council is going to sponsor treats for that Sunday, so instead of doing a whole big potluck, we're going to do ice cream. So hope you come here ready for some ice cream on that last Sunday in July. I'm expecting it to probably be as warm as it is this Sunday in July. So you guys stay cool out there today, and the rest of this week. We've got some high temperatures coming, so just get your errands run early in the morning and stay inside the air conditioning. Stay hydrated, thank you. Yeah, lots of that. I was out Friday and it was like, whew, I didn't think I was out that long, but boy, I was wiped when I got home. So, all right, if you would stand and we will do our benediction and then sing Use Me.
Yep.
All right. Repeat after me, please. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called abundance.
It is this thing called abundance.
Abundance is in my mind. Abundance is in my heart.
Abundance is in my heart.
Abundance is in all that I do.
Abundance is in all that I do.
I am it.
I am it.
I'm sharing it. And I'm becoming more of it. Each and every day.
Each and every day.
Thank you, abundance.
Thank you, abundance.
All right, Justin.
Here we go. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. All right, one more time, let's sing. Use me, oh God. and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Please help us put the tables back if you can. Thank you.